Yo, what's up, all you burner stoners and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman?
Mr. Weedman?
How the hell are you?
Fantastic.
I love it. Hey, all you vipers out there in the world, hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. Mrs. Weedman and I are about to get normal. But before we get normal, as always, Mrs. Weedman and I will be covering the latest cannabis research, science, and health today, along with political news, international news, and Mrs. Weedman is going to end it with some cannabis culture. Now, Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman?
Let's get normal with some Cap Junky, grown by Jim Berry that we got from our friend Midwest Terps from the Midwest Terp Off, the Michigan versus Illinois event. And this is one of the growers that entered. And Jim Berry is the name of the grower. And today, Cap Junky is an evenly balanced hybrid strain, 50-50, created through crossing an iconic Kush Mitts and Alien Cookie strains, a super high-powered hybrid with relaxing yet active effects. Cap Junky is perfect choice for the connoisseur. The high hits you fast and hard, slamming you right smack in between the eyes, right after your final exhale with dizzying, happy scents. You feel tingly and mentally stimulated, filled with a sense of euphoria that has you soaring and easily chatting with anyone around you. This tingly will soon spread throughout the rest of your body, lulling you in a state of relaxation that doesn't have you feeling too sedated. With these effects and its super high THC average, Cap Junky is said to be perfect for treating a variety of conditions, including bipolar disorder, depression or mood swings, chronic pain, cramps, or muscle spasms, and even chronic stress. This bud has a sweet and fruity flavor with a potent punch of flowery menthol. The aroma is spicy, fresh menthol, pungent pine, and grassy diesel with a touch of fruitiness. Cap Junky's buds have dense and colonial forest green nugs with emerald green leaves, thin orange hairs, and a coating of tiny, milky, amber crystal trichomes. And this is grown by Jim Berry, and we're smoking Cap Junky today. Ooh, it smelled good when you were rolling it, that's for sure.
Yummy.
Yeah. Really, really good. I can't wait to have it taste. Oh, delicious. And as while I'm smoking, Mrs. Weedman is going to tell you a little bit about 8decades.com.
Yes, head on over to 8decades.com. That is our cannabis lifestyle brand, our website for that. There you can subscribe to our newsletter and get free shipping off of your first order. You'll find our products. 8 Decades is a line of cannabis accessories that we started a few years ago. We designed our own rolling tray, ashtray, and multi-tool for flower use. Some people like the tools for their concentrates as well. Everything is 16-gauge stainless steel, super hefty, super strong, kind of intended to be your forever rolling set. You'll also find mirror and violet glass storage jars, which are wonderful for your cannabis product, whether it's edibles or flower. It's a wonderful way to store your goods. You're also going to find links about us and the podcast and some Weedman 420 swag.
Yay.
So head on over to 8decades, EIGHT, decades.com, and check us out.
Check us out. And as we always say, you support the show, we can pay our producer, Shoddy. And she likes getting paid. It was Mrs. Weedman's birthday this weekend.
Yes.
Yes.
Yay.
She is beautiful as ever. Always looking like she's 25.
Oh, yeah. Feeling like it. Gee, let me tell you.
But we had a fun-filled weekend with our kiddos. We had a fun-filled weekend with date night. And we got to eat at a very good restaurant. Two very good restaurants.
Two.
But the one is local, close to us in Crystal Lake. What was the name of the restaurant?
That was called Lake Roots.
Oh,
it is on Route 14 and Dole Avenue, and it is breakfast, lunch, and dinner, cafe during the day, table service at night, small menu, super delicious.
Oh,
so if you're in the area,
was phenomenal.
Yeah, great service, super nice environment. Yeah.
As you all might have known over the years of listening to the show, Mrs. Weedman and I are foodies. We love our food. We love when we find a what is it called, a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
When we find a diamond in the rough, we like to visit that diamond in the rough.
Well, this is new, so it's not really a diamond in the rough, but it was a good local find.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was delicious.
Yeah.
I had walleye. Oh, if you don't know what walleye is, it's a freshwater fish here you can get in the Midwest, and it's a lot of the big lakes here. So light and flaky and delicious. Oh my gosh! And I had a loaded potato soup that I shared with Mrs. Weedman because I didn't want to get too full.
That was delicious.
That was delicious
Oh my
too.
God,
and
that
then
was so
you
good.
had braised short rib.
Yeah, over like a roasted vegetable puree. And
So good.
then, yeah, these little
Like
roasted
butter.
potatoes.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was delicious.
Delicious. And
Yeah.
then we had a phenomenal dessert. I can't pronounce the name of it. I'll butcher it, but it was a pastry with this almonds in there and this little like filling in the middle, like an almond paste filling, and then this delicious vanilla gelato ice cream and caramel, and it was just oh god, my eyes were rolling in the back of my head. It was so good.
It was very good.
It was a well fun, amazing birthday weekend, and I call it the Mrs Weedman Palooza weekend because it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So, but we do like our food, right?
Yes.
Yes, we do. So, check this out, Mrs. Weedman. You know,
Mhm.
like right now, the airports are crazy. TSA workers not
Yes.
working, not getting paid, unfortunately. Pay those fucking people, will you please? They do a hell of a job there and they put up with a lot of shit. They deserve to work, they deserve to get paid. But this is kind of funny. We're not going to be talking about like going through the TSA line, realizing you forgot your ID, you forgot your fucking laptop, or you forgot you had weed in your pocket instead of having it in your carry-on bag or putting it in your your luggage and putting it in the conveyor belt and sending it on its way. This is a little different. And according to TSA, people are getting flagged through going through security right now because the lines are 3-hour wait. So they're not getting flagged for weapons. They're not getting flagged for weed. Really, Mrs. Weedman, when I
Tell
read
me.
this,
Tell me.
it's
Come
like I
on.
couldn't believe it because the lines have been so long. They're
Right.
getting flagged for
Flatulence?
swamp crotch
Why?
or swamp ass.
Why?
We're talking about some sweaty situations here, Mrs.
People are
Weedman.
so it's stress sweat, so it
Probably.
smells
So
worse.
swamp ass, swamp
People are, like,
crotch.
anxious and frustrated.
So this
Oh, no.
so this woman flies for the first time in like 15 years, goes through TSA, right? She's
Mhm.
minding her business. The scanner lights up. Her whole area, groin area, like she's hiding a secret mission. No piercings. She's got no metal down there.
Nothing.
No nothing. Not even hiding like a knife or a razor blade down there.
Okay.
Just some vibes of apparently some swamp crotch. And it wasn't just her. Reddit's been lighting this up, saying these things have been happening to them all over Reddit. And TSA is basically like saying, "Sir, you got something suspicious in between those legs." But not really. They're being nice about it. Now, here's where it gets a little wild. Those scanners, though, they use millimeter wave tech. Didn't know this at all. Which doesn't just detect metal, it reacts to anything that messes with the signal, including body sweat,
Hmm.
swamp ass, swamp crotch,
Oh, so the odor is just so strong that it tips it off.
probably, or maybe the moisture. Here's the crazy thing. Your body's doing its normal thing,
Right.
right? But you're going to get the full pat down
Wow.
because they can't really find what's going
Right.
on. So imagine that you're just trying to catch a flight. You're hot. You're waiting in that fucking
That'd be
3-hour
awful.
wait. You're hustled to the airport. And now TSC is like,
Hold on a minute. Come back
a
here.
little humidity
Yeah.
going on.
Got some problems.
Yeah, you got a little humidity going on. And it gets even crazier. Stuff like tight clothes, feminine products, or even just body shape can trigger this too.
Whoa.
Feminine products.
Feminine.
Yeah. So to be fair, though, the agents are being really cool about it.
Well, that's good.
Professional, respectful. But still, ain't nobody trying to get pulled aside because that body's saying it's 85 degrees and my swamp crotch is just fucking killing it today. The moral of this story, though, Ms. Weedman, is if you're flying anytime soon, pack some powder or some breathable drawers.
Drawers. Drawers.
Maybe hit a little pre-flight air conditioning or carry
Stand over a vent.
fan. So I've seen people wear fans around their neck. Maybe you have to wear a
little
fan,
hoo-hoo
a little hoo-hoo fan, because apparently it is being a little too moist down there. Can look like a national fucking security risk.
Oh my God.
That right there, everybody,
Jeez.
is why flying is so stressful, Mrs.
Mm.
Weedman.
That's crazy. Jeez.
I, to me, I haven't flown in about a year, and thank God I'm not flying anywhere anytime soon. But I will say this: you just got to just relax when you're at an airport. unless you're like nervous
Yeah.
about flying. I understand that but it's just, you're going to get to your place. And I understand it's stressful. You might be running late. You might have 6 kids with you, strollers, shit you're packing for them. You're carrying 50 bags. I get
Right.
it. But here's the thing. You don't have to fly. You just take a car and drive. I rather drive. I
It's not that simple,
I
though.
know it's
It
not.
really isn't.
I know it's not simple. Well, it's not simple either when you got 3 kids. We
Then
did it.
driving could be impossible.
You did it.
Yeah.
You flew one time with both kids. No one helped you. This is before
Nobody
you. This is
helped.
before you can. This is before
My
9/11
God.
when you can walk to the gates with people. Nobody helped you with 2 kids,
No, I had the
a double
flu.
stroller. You had a car seat. You had a bag for you and a bag for them.
They just drop you at the curb.
Right.
Kick.
Say, see,
Get out. Bye.
it's
It's been
stressful,
great.
right? For you to
Yeah.
have to worry about that, it's stressful.
Yeah.
It is. So that's why I rather drive, for me anyway. But I'm just saying, it's just, that's all when you're at an airport, you just gotta, trust me, I've been there. I've been there at a couple flights where I'm just like, oh my God, I'm fucking, then you get through the gates and you're fine. You get that first fucking beer in you, or you pop an edible, and it finally kicks in when you walk through the gates. You're like, phew,
I'm good.
here we go. I'm ready. So that weed is pretty good. I'm high already, everybody. Holy shit, did it hit? It was true to form, to hitting right smack dab in the center of the eyeballs. Wowzers. Holy
Wowzers.
smokes. Nice job, Jim Barry.
Yeah.
Nice job. I applaud thee. You ready to get the show started, Mr.
I'm
Weedman?
ready. Let's
do this.
Yeah, I'm pretty baked.
Whew. Love it.
Mhm.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Alcohol and tobacco are more damaging to users in society than marijuana is. This is a government-funded study. So let's get into something that might not shock you, but it definitely hits different, just like this weed I'm smoking right now, when it's coming from the government itself. A new government-funded study just came out, and it's basically confirming what a lot of people in the cannabis community have been saying for years. Alcohol and tobacco are more damaging to both the users and society than marijuana. Everybody, and all the people in the back, and you people sitting in the front row, let that sink in for a second. We're talking about substances that are fully legal, normalized, advertised during football games, and they're doing more harm than cannabis, which is still federally legal. Please make that make sense to me. Now, the study looked at a few key areas: health risk, addiction potential, and overall impact on society. Across the board, alcohol and tobacco came out looking way worse. No surprise there when you really think about it. Alcohol alone is linked to liver disease, violent incidents, accidents, plenty of deaths. I mean, how many bad decisions start with, I had a few drinks? Meanwhile, cannabis users, worst case scenario, you ate too many edibles and now you're questioning reality while staring at your fridge like it's a portal to another dimension. And tobacco, don't even get started for somebody who was a smoker for a very long time. That's been tied to cancer, heart disease, and a whole list of long-term health issues. Yet it's been legal for decades. The study also touched on the societal cost. Things like healthcare, burden, lost productivity, and crime-related impacts. Again, alcohol and tobacco rank significantly higher in terms of damage. Cannabis, way lower. And this is where things get interesting because it adds more fuel to the ongoing conversation about federal legalization. If the data is clearly showing cannabis is less harmful, then why is it still classified the way it is? That's the question, the million-dollar question, advocates keep asking. Now, to be fair, the study doesn't say cannabis is completely harmless. Nothing is. But it puts things into perspective, especially when comparing it to substances that are already widely accepted. It's really about relative harm. And from the policy standpoint, this kind of research matters because lawmakers keep ignoring data forever, at least not without us noticing. The people. We're already seeing shifts, state-level legalization, expungement efforts, and even discussions about rescheduling. How about let's get some more discussions about descheduling? So studies like this, they just keep pushing the conversation forward. And honestly, it's kind of wild that we're at this point where the government is funding research that basically says, yeah, cannabis ain't the problem. Took long enough, everybody, right? Right, Ms. Weedman?
Yeah.
But hey, we'll take the progress however it comes. It's a slow progress, that's for sure.
Slow,
Slow, very slow. Oh
dragging,
my god,
slow.
so slow.
Is it even is there any progress? I mean, there hasn't been,
I mean, everything we've been reading about the
right?
political side of stuff, we've been talking about, they're just delaying, delaying, delaying.
Delays.
Right.
Yeah.
The
They've
D
got some bigger fish to fry, maybe, right now.
Yeah, but there's enough people in the government not doing shit right now that can speed this up a little bit.
Mhm.
Not everybody's
Oh, yeah. Right.
there's enough people being paid
To do different
to do
jobs.
different jobs.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I have a good memory. My short-term memory is sometimes there, sometimes it's not. Because sometimes if I get distracted and I think of something and all of a sudden I get distracted, I lose that. That happens all the time. That's been happening my whole life. But my long-term memory is fuego. But, Mrs. Weedman, your memory is good,
My
right?
memory's decent. I find that it's like a slow process. Like, to recall if we did something like had a busy, like, back-to-back couple days, and then I stopped at the end of those days and maybe a couple days later and tried to think, like, "What did I do on," say, Thursday and Friday? What did I do? And I, like, really have a hard time recalling it. And then once I kind of, like, allow my brain to, like, think rather than, like, getting distracted and finding trying to do this while I'm thinking of a bunch of other things, the thoughts are all there, but sometimes I
Mhm.
do find they're harder to grasp,
Gotcha.
to get them
Now,
flowing.
there was a big study
Yeah.
on memories and is weed changing your memory,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Tell us about it.
Yep. So, let's get into this article. This was from Green State, and it's a topic that every smoker has joked about at some point, right? Your memory. Like, "Oh, I can't remember anything. I'm a stoner." So, a new study out of Washington State University is flipping the conversation. It's not just possible that cannabis makes you forget things, it might actually change how memories are formed and recalled. This was a randomized, double blind, placebo controlled study, so it's legit and scientific. Researchers had participants vaporize either 0 milligrams, 20 milligrams, or 40 milligrams of THC, then put them through a full lineup of memory tests. We're talking about everything: verbal memory, spatial memory, remembering future tasks, even identifying where information came from. And the results? They're pretty wild. Participants who consumed THC performed worse than the placebo group on most memory tests, with significant differences showing up in about 15 out of 21 measures. But here's the part that really stands out: false memories. People who used cannabis were more likely to remember things that never actually happened, recalling words that were never shown to them in the first place during tests. And that's not just forgetting, that's your brain remixing reality a little bit. The study also found issues with source memory, which is your ability to remember where information came from. So, under the influence of THC, they found it gets harder to tell if you heard something from a friend, saw it online, or just imagined it. Now, let's talk about dosage, because a lot of people think, I'll just take a little. Well, not so fast. Researchers found no major difference between 20 or 40 milligrams of THC. Now, I have to say, I was very surprised
They
that
give that
they
much.
gave 20 and 40
Right.
milligrams of
Yeah.
THC. Like, that's no, I mean, it's a vaporizer, but still, 20 to 40 milligrams is a
They should have
lot.
did a microdose.
Yeah,
They should have did a 10, 20, and then 40.
something
But you
like
should have
that.
did it too, like, less experience, right?
Right.
Did they say it was
It doesn't say that.
right.
Right.
They should have did a less experienced user, maybe a once in a blue moon user. They should have varied it between heavy users to mid users to low
Right.
users,
Because it affects everybody so differently.
Right. Right.
Well, they found no major difference between the 20 and 40 milligram doses, meaning even moderate doses had similar impacts on memory. So it's not just a you smoke too much kind of situation. Another key point: participants also struggled with prospective memory, which is basically remembering to do things later, like appointments, tasks, or even simple plans. So, if you've ever walked into a room and forgot why, this could be part of it. But this isn't important. Not, oh, this is important. Not everything was impacted. The study found no significant effect on episodic memory, which is your memory of personal experiences and life events. So your core memories, they'll be intact. That's good. And like most cannabis research, there's a big disclaimer. More research is needed before drawing any hard conclusions. So I just have this thing. Okay, short-term memory, long-term memory. Your short-term memory becomes a long-term memory. Duh. Like, what did you do last hour? What if what you did last
I ate
hour.
dinner and got ready for the show.
No, I'm saying, like, what if someone just asked you, "What did you do today?" And today was like a game changer for you. You went and experienced something that you've never experienced before in some different place, blah, blah, blah. It was amazing. You had this like core memory that happened.
Right.
But in this moment, that's short term memory.
That
But
is.
in like a month, that's long term memory.
Wow.
Think about that for a minute.
I need.
You want some more joint?
No, maybe I don't.
All right, moving on back to the article because that was just a stoner thought. Overall, though, the study is one of the most comprehensive looks yet at how THC affects multiple sensory systems at once. And the takeaway is clear. Cannabis doesn't just make memories fuzzy, it can actually reshape how they're created in the first place.
Sweet.
Bing and a bang and a
Bing,
boom.
bing, bop, boom.
Bobbity boop,
Yep.
boobity bop.
So this next one is kind of interesting. It's about the sober movement and whether cannabis is starting to shake things up a little bit. So boom, the sober movement has been growing over the past few years. More people are cutting out alcohol, focusing on wellness, mental clarity, all that good stuff. You've probably seen it, mocktails, alcohol-free bars, people saying, nah, I'm good on the drinks. Much respect on that. But now there's this question popping up. Is cannabis becoming part of that lifestyle? And that's where things get a little complicated because for some folks, cannabis is being used as an alternative to alcohol. They're like, I don't want the hangovers, headaches, the next day regret, waking up with your pants unbuttoned in some place you weren't supposed to be. I'll take a little something more mellow. And in context, cannabis is still kind of sliding into that conversation as better option to certain people. But here's the twist. Not everyone in the sober community is rocking with this or that. For a lot of people, being sober means completely substance free. No alcohol, no cannabis, nada, zilch, nothing. So when weed starts showing up in wellness or sober curious spaces, it creates this tension. Like, is this still sober or is it just a different lane? You've got some people, and then you've got some others saying, nah, you're just swapping one thing for another. It's a real debate right now, and culturally, it's shifting how people define sobriety. It's not black and white as it used to be. There's this thing growing in middle ground. People who don't drink, but still use cannabis occasionally, kind of like what you've heard us talk about the California sober. You know what I mean? Now, from a broader perspective, this also ties into how cannabis is being rebranded. It's not just being seen as recreational anymore. It's being positioned as part of a wellness lifestyle. You see it in products, marketing, even social media. Low dose edibles, THC drinks, CBD, everything. It's about balance and control. But again, that doesn't sit right with everyone, especially in communities where sobriety is tied to recovery and long term health goals. So the big question becomes, can cannabis and the sober movement coexist? Or are they fundamentally at odds? And honestly, the answer might just depend on the person. Because at the end of the day, people are redefining what healthy looks like for themselves. Some choose total abstinence, others choose moderation, with or without cannabis. Either way, this conversation across the board is evolving, and cannabis is smack dab right in the middle of it. And you already know, Mrs Weedman and I will keep on watching and see how this plays out. We know somebody who is sober but still uses cannabis,
Mm-hmm.
and
We know a few of those people.
it hasn't affected their life that I
Right.
have seen,
Right.
I've noticed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Not in a negative way.
Mm-mm. Not at all. So it's very hard to get off alcohol when you've been
Mm-hmm.
using it for a very long time, right?
Yeah, and I think that there's obviously an addiction factor to alcohol. There can be a habitual factor to cannabis, especially if you are an addictive personality. You might use anything and cling on to anything.
Mhm.
But, we always identify addiction as being things that are alcohol, drugs. But I mean, addiction can be, you know, sitting in the mirror, picking at your
Right.
skin for 10 hours a day. It could be, I mean, there could be some crazy addictions. It could be, I saw my strange addiction, a lady ate foam,
I
like
remember that.
furniture foam.
I
I
remember
mean,
that.
some people eat paper. You got some weird shit going on out in the
Right.
world, right? So addiction isn't always alcohol, but a lot of addiction, if it's not chemically related, really is highly impacting the person and not everybody around them. Where alcohol and drugs, it affects everybody or in that person's
Right.
world. Where am I going with this? What's my point?
We were talking about people
Oh,
using it.
cannabis.
Yeah.
And cannabis just doesn't like impact a person that
Short-term
way.
memory.
Yeah. Short term memory. My short term memory is affected by this cannabis.
By the strain she's smoking right now.
Where am I? What am I doing? What's my name? Anyway, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I get it. I understand. I mean,
I think
it's
that cannabis can be used intentionally by people who have had substance abuse and alcohol abuse disorders. And I think that cannabis can be an alternative and part of their recovery and their healthy future.
we've talked about it on the show that cannabis is a medicine,
Hmm.
and it's now becoming it's kind of weird. The last couple of weeks I've been just reading and watching the cannabis market. Let's just say not the stock market, just the industry as a whole, and you can see right now in the last like 2 or 3 weeks, some dispensaries and some vendors, suppliers are trying to change their tone, move away from the recreational aspect of it all and go back into using this as a medicine instead for the people who don't want to use it recreationally. They
Hmm.
want to use it as a medicine. We were talking to a young man the other day at an event, you and I, and I've known him for years and being a brand rep and talking about how he's moving into the holistic
Wellness and
wellness and
holistic.
holistic
Yep.
teaching now, which Mrs. Weedman's been saying for as long as
Forever.
yeah, forever. So you see but I'll say something in a second about Mrs. Weedman, but this is okay, so it went from being medical, right, in states, how most states start or all states start as medical, and we promote medicine so we can get it passed, right?
Hmm.
That's the play on it. And then all of a sudden it's showing how it's used medically and how people need it, but now it's like, well, we should do this recreationally now so the people who like using it socially and out of whatever, but realizing that it is great socially, but it's actually more of a medicine and we need to get back to that. And we're seeing it. And Mrs. Weeman, as she just mentioned a few minutes ago, she gave me this look when I was talking about moving it into a holistic medicine side of things now. And you see dispensaries doing it and vendors doing it and suppliers doing it. She goes, Mrs. Weeman is always the forefront of what do you always say about yourself? I'm always too ahead of the times. I need to be back, everything I think about is still 2 years away, but you
Yeah.
thought about this idea 2
Yeah.
years ago, 3
I
years
can't
ago.
find the thing whatever I've got that I've created in my brain that's nowhere to be found, or I have to create it. And then a couple of years later, it's like, there. I could have just waited and
Right.
bought it like everybody else,
Right.
but I want it before it's available.
So,
But
yes,
I've always believed that
you've always said that
that
from day one,
cannabis for me has always been
a
more of
medicine,
a medicine and
holistic.
it's part of your well-being.
Right. Yeah.
It's just part of your
So
daily.
it's really watch the industry the next 6 to 12 months, the next maybe 18 to 24 months. Everybody out there, listen to Mr. Weedman because I've said this. I watch market trends in this industry 24/7. All I do is study and research weed. Okay, and this market, it's just coming back into. They're realizing that what have I said? The two fastest growing segments of this industry is the boomers, 55 or 60 and up, and they don't want to use it socially. I mean, some of them do, but they want it more. We read an article last week about why the boomer generation, the older generation are using cannabis, right? And why Gen Z women are the second fastest growing. They want it holistically. They want to use it at home peacefully, for thought, for creativity, mental, whatever. And watch the trends, everybody. Just watch the next 12 to 18 months. By the time Christmas comes, it's all going to change. Really, really interesting. And here's the other thing. Watch the prices change. Right now, everybody's price compression is real. They're even seeing it in New York, okay? But now we're going to treat this as a medicine again and going back to like the rec days where everything was priced. Just listen to Mr. Weedman.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the next 2 years. It'll start on the West Coast, everybody. It always does. And it's going to move to the Midwest. And then it'll move to the East Coast because the East Coast is all new right now. So they're banging, right? They're opening up dispensaries. They're treating it as socially right now. They got rec done. Now they're into their rec phase and making billions of dollars. Price compression is starting way too early in these markets on the East Coast. Really bad. So they're going to come back in about 4 years because they're behind California 2 years, the Midwest by a year. And just listen to episode 302 in about 2 years from now and see if Mr. and Mrs. Weedman were right or wrong. We'll be about 75% accurate on this one. I'm not going to say, I'll never say 100%, but there you go. There's a new, all right, introvert, extrovert, right? And then there's now a new word called otrovert.
Yeah,
okay. All right. So people always said I was an extrovert, but I always didn't think I was. I always thought I was kind of like between introvert and extrovert because I like my alone time. There's times where I don't like to fucking talk to a person. There's times where I'm shy. When I was younger, people were like, you were shy? Yes. And going to new situations and new people that I've never met before, I'm not one of they'll come out in my younger years will come out. I'm, how you doing, everybody? No, that wasn't me. I was like, I need to be introduced and like kind of like, let me go hide in the corner for a little bit or at the bar or outside smoking weed or something, But as I got older, I read a lot of books and it helped me with my personality and being better at not being so shy and stuff. But I feel with this new reading are you going to tell everybody what an introvert is, or you will tell everybody what okay. So yes. I won't steal your thunder then. Right. So, but I feel I'm more that after reading it, and you too, right?
Well, I used to always say I'm an introverted extrovert. I really like to socialize in really small doses.
Right.
And I really like to be alone in really large doses. And I'm just happy to operate that way.
Say that word again.
I'm an introverted extrovert.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that.
Or an
introvert.
Yeah. So
Tell
here
us
we
about
go.
it. Cannabis strains for your modern personality type. Tell us about it, Ms. Weedman.
Yep. This article is from the Fresh Toast. It's a little fun and a little psychological because now we're talking about cannabis strains matched to your personality type. Forget indica versus sativa for a second. The article dives into how people are starting to choose strains based on how they socialize, think, and connect. And there's a newer personality term in the mix called the otrovert. This was coined in 2025 by psychiatrist Dr. Rami Kaminsky, and it describes people who can be social but still feel kind of like an outsider in group settings. Not shy, not antisocial, just wired for deeper, more meaningful, one-on-one connections instead of big crowds. And now cannabis culture is evolving with that. Most of us are familiar with introverts. These are people who recharge alone. They like chill environments, creativity, introspection. You may know someone like this. Maybe it's you. For introverts, strains like Pineapple Express get recommended because it's balanced and uplifting without being overwhelming. Perfect for creative sessions, relaxing, or just vibing at home. Also, indica-leaning or terpene-heavy strains, think myrcene or caryophyllene, tend to help with relaxation without forcing social energy. Now, let's flip over to extroverts. These are your social energy people, lovers of parties, conversations, being out, and being seen. For them, strains like Sour Diesel are a go-to because it's uplifting, energetic, and it keeps the conversation flowing. These people usually lean towards sativa strains, bringing that cerebral, talkative high, basically amplifying the moment instead of turning them inward. Then you've got the newest, the latest wild card, the Otroverts. They're not just in the middle like ambiverts. I didn't know that. So maybe an ambivert is an introverted out extroverted.
Okay.
I don't know. So we'll have to look that up later. Ambiverts. Okay. So Otroverts, they're more about depth over quality when it comes to social interaction. They don't necessarily want high energy party strains or heavy couch lock either. Instead, they lean toward balanced hybrids, something that gives them mild euphoria, emotional openness, and calm focus without
That's me
overstimulation.
all day long right there. That's like my favorite kind of strains.
We're talking terpene combos like limonene for mood, mixed with softer calming effects, so they can engage socially but on their own terms. The big takeaway from this whole thing is that cannabis culture is shifting away from just THC percentages or basic strain labels and moving toward personalized experiences. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about getting high, it's about finding the kind of high that matches who you are.
If you throw some myrcene in that strain, make me even more happier because you get both like right in the middle.
Hmm.
My favorite. It's amazing, how you can like really dial in someone's
Yeah.
personality by what kind of strain they would probably like,
Hmm.
to smoke,
Yeah.
Pretty interesting, Mrs.
Yeah.
Weedman.
We have used CBD, like we've smoked some hemp flower. We've had CBD strains, like a CBD ratio
Mhm.
in vapes. We've had CBD and THC ratios in edibles,
Yep.
but we have never bought loose hemp or CBD flower.
The ratio I've had, just not
Yeah,
just
we've had
straight CBD.
ratios.
Yeah,
So
no.
I would like to start playing around with that, like creating our own little mixes and matches of having a THC strain that works for your mood that you're looking for, and then have a CBD strain that works, and then mix a rate, like roll a joint that's, a 70-30 or a 1-to-1 ratio, and
Yeah.
just see what the different mixes feel like and play around with actual
Big
loose
Earl.
flower. Earl.
Igneous, grow us some CBD strains.
Yes, please.
Midwest Terps.
Yeah.
Ralph Wiley. Mrs. Weedman's calling. Who else? Goat.
Yep.
Genetics.
CBD,
Outdoor. Get us
please.
some CBD. Political state and business news. Illinois is still pushing to fix one of cannabis' biggest headaches, banking. State Treasurer Michael Ferks is working on expand access to cannabis businesses can safely store money, pay employees, and operate like normal companies. Right now, more are stuck dealing in cash. Ferks says it's about safety, transparency, and treating the industry like any other legitimate business. I like that guy. Thanks, State Treasurer. Several states could still legalize adult use cannabis in 2026, and momentum continues building across the country. Lawmakers and advocates are eyeing opportunities in both traditionally conservative and swing states, while challenges remain. Shifting public opinion and economic incentives are keeping legalization efforts alive. The next wave of states could further expand the legal market and reshape the national cannabis landscape. Craft breweries are feeling a little bit of pressure, and cannabis is part of the reason. As more consumers shift toward weed, alcohol sales are taking a hit, especially among younger crowds. And in rising costs and competition from meal delivery services, and breweries are struggling to keep up. It's changing the market, where cannabis is becoming a serious competitor in the fight for the consumer attention. The hemp industry is ramping up its presence in Washington, D.C., hiring more lobbyists to influence federal policy. With growing scrutiny around hemp-derived THC products, industry leaders are pushing to shape regulations instead of facing stricter crackdowns. It's a sign that hemp space is evolving fast, and companies want a seat at the table as lawmakers decide its future. Georgia lawmakers have passed a bill to expand access to medical marijuana, sending it to the governor's desk. The measure aims to increase availability for patients and improve the state's limited program. Supporters say it's a step toward better patient care, with critics arguing more reform is still needed. Either way, Georgia continues slowly moving forward on cannabis policy. Cannabis sales saw a dip in February, signaling a continued slowdown in part of the market. Analysts point to factors like price compression, oversupply, and shifting consumer habits. While the long-term outlook remains strong, short-term challenges are hitting operators hard. It's a reminder that even in a growing industry, the cannabis business still faces real economic pressure. A new federal bill aims to give state legal cannabis business access to banking services, addressing one of the industry's biggest challenges. Right now, many companies still operate heavily in cash due to federal restrictions. Supporters say the change would improve safety and transparency, while critics debate broader implications. Push shows banking reform remains a key issue in cannabis policy. Massachusetts lawmakers are pushing back against the anti marijuana campaign, seeking to roll back legalization. During a recent hearing, officials questioned the group's claims and challenged the potential impact of reversing current laws. Supporters of legalization argue that the state has made progress, while opponents continue raising concerns. The debate highlights ongoing tensions even in established legal markets. Also in Massachusetts, lawmakers are pushing back against, oh no, I read that one already. Sorry. I don't know why I doubled up. Sorry, everybody. An alcohol industry group is calling for regulation on hemp-derived THC drinks of outright bans. As these products grow in popularity, traditional alcohol companies are looking to shape how they're controlled. The move highlights increasing competition between industries and pushed for clearer rules. And another sign the hemp industries are becoming a serious player in the market. Now, passing that joint over to you, Mrs. Weedman.
Yes, I've got some more political, state, and business news. Ohio has officially enacted a ban on intoxicating hemp products, tightening restrictions across the state. Officials say the move is about protecting consumers and closing regulatory gaps. However, critics argue it could hurt businesses and limit access to certain products. The decision reflects a growing divide among states on how to handle hemp derived THC and its place in the market. Delaware lawmakers are moving forward with a bill that would allow medical marijuana use in hospitals for terminally ill patients. The proposal cleared a House committee and aims to give patients more comfort and dignity in the end of life care. Supporters call it compassionate reform, while opponents raise regulatory concerns. The bill now advances as Delaware continues expanding its medical cannabis program. Illinois cannabis sales have taken a dip, reflecting broader market challenges hitting legal states. Factors like pricing compression, competition, and shifting consumer habits are playing a role. Despite earlier growth, the slowdown shows the market is still stabilizing. Industry watchers say long-term potential remains strong, but short-term fluctuations are becoming more common across mature cannabis markets like Illinois. We've got a controversial House bill could classify groups who regularly gather to smoke marijuana as criminal gangs. Yes, you hear that, folks. Potentially leading to deportation for some individuals. Lawmakers raising concerns say the language is too broad and could unfairly target cannabis users. Critics warn of serious consequences, especially for immigrant communities, as debates continue over how cannabis laws intersect with federal enforcement policies. The U.S. Army is updating its recruitment policy, allowing individuals with marijuana convictions to enlist without needing a waiver beginning April 20th. Got that on 4/20. The change reflects shifting attitudes toward cannabis and aims to expand the pool of eligible recruits. Supporters say it's a practical move, while critics question broader standards. Either way, it marks another sign of evolving cannabis policies nationwide. Virginia cannabis social equity advocates are calling for a delay in launching adult use sales, arguing the current system isn't ready for delivering fair opportunities. They say more time is needed to ensure equity programs are properly implemented. State officials face pressure to balance market rollout with social justice goals as debates continue over how to build a more inclusive cannabis industry. Confusion around legal hemp products continues to grow, especially as THC levels and product types expand. Consumers are navigating a patchwork of rules that blur the lines between hemp and marijuana. Experts say clearer regulations are needed to protect buyers and businesses alike. As the market evolves, understanding what's actually legal is becoming more complicated for everyday consumers. An Idaho medical marijuana campaign says a proposed legalization measure could generate up to $100 million in annual sales. Advocates argue it would boost the economy while expanding access for patients. However, legalization still faces an uphill battle in the state. The projection highlights potential financial benefits as supporters continue pushing to bring medical cannabis to Idaho voters. A U.S. congressman is pressing the Department of Justice for answers on marijuana rescheduling, months after presidential executive order called for faster action. Lawmakers want clarity on when cannabis might move from Schedule 1 to 3 And so far, delays continue, raising frustration in Congress. The push highlights ongoing uncertainty as federal cannabis reform remains stalled despite growing political pressure. That's it. Over here, Mr. Weedman, it's back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Weedman. Mississippi governor has vetoed bills that would expand medical marijuana access while approving a separate measure supporting psychedelic research. The decision drew mixed reactions, with advocates disappointed over cannabis limits but encouraged by progress all alternative therapies. The move highlights a cautious approach to drug policy, and Mississippi continues navigating how far it's willing to go on reform. So I'm happy that they're doing they're supporting psychedelic research, but come on, Mississippi. It's adding more stuff to the list so people can get their medicine. Denver's annual 420 Festival is gearing up with newly announced concert lineup, bringing music and cannabis culture together once again. This event continues to be one of the largest celebrations in the country, drawing crowds from across the nation. Organizers are leaning in both entertainment and cannabis normalization, keeping the tradition alive in one of America's most established legal markets. Arizona growers are facing a major surplus, with unsold cannabis piling up across the state. Oversupply has led to falling prices and mounting pressure on producers struggling to stay profitable. Industry experts say the balance highlights ongoing challenges in the legal markets where production can outpace demand. It's another example of how rapid expansion can create tough economic realities for cannabis businesses. Indiana's governor is pointing the finger at fellow Republicans for states' lack of progress in the marijuana legalization. Despite growing public support, lawmakers have yet to advance meaningful reform. The governor noted that many residents are already using cannabis illegally, raising questions about the current policy effectiveness. The comments add pressure as neighboring states continue moving forward with legalization efforts. Governor, you first blamed it on because it wasn't federally legal. Now you're blaming it on the Republicans in the state. Make up your mind. Grow some balls. Come together as one. Democrats, Republicans, independents, come together as one because your constituents want it. Vote it in both and let people home grow. That's it. Just do it right. Do it all from the fucking get-go and let it move on. New York's legal cannabis market has reached $3.3 billion in total sales after 5 years, marking a major milestone for the state. Growth has been driven by expanding retail access and strong consumer demand. While challenges remain, including regulatory hurdles, the numbers show that market's potential. New York continues to establish itself as a major player in the national cannabis industry. Tulsa Community College is launching new programs focused on cannabis industry, aiming to prepare students for careers in the growing market. Courses will cover areas like cultivation, businesses, and compliance. Supporters say it's a smart move to align education with industry demand. The program reflects how cannabis is becoming a legitimate career path across multiple sectors. High cannabis taxes are being blamed for weakening legal markets, according to the new opinion piece. Critics argue excessive tax rates are pushing consumers back to the illicit market, where prices are lower. The debate continues over how to balance revenue generation with industry sustainability. It's a key issue as states work to build competitive and effective legal cannabis systems. Yeah, they need to lower the taxes down. Pricing is great in Illinois. I mean, getting better. If you go to Michigan, prices are amazing, but it's all the tax bullshit we always have to worry about, that makes cannabis where it shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
So, a Democratic gubernatorial candidate in Michigan is proposing to repeal the cannabis tax currently tied to road funding plans. The move could reshape how the state finances infrastructure while impacting cannabis revenue streams. Supporters say it's about fairness, while critics warn of budget gaps. The proposal adds another layer of ongoing debates about cannabis taxation and public funding priorities. Smoke break.
Mm-hmm. Stony baloney.
So nice. Oklahoma lawmakers have killed a proposed tax increase on medical marijuana, rejecting efforts to raise costs on patients and businesses. Supporters of the bill argue it would generate additional state revenue, but opponents push back, citing affordability concerns. The decision keeps current tax level in place as Oklahoma continues operating one of the country's more accessible medical cannabis programs. The White House is holding more meetings this week to discuss cannabis products enforcement policy involving the FDA. Officials are focusing on how to regulate products like hemp-derived THC and other emerging items. The talks signal increasing federal attention on the evolving cannabis marketplace as regulators work to establish clearer rules and oversight in a rapidly growing industry. And that is the state political and business news, everybody. Mrs. Weedman, that's some great weed right there.
It is.
Is it still lit?
Yeah, would
I'll
you like
take
more?
one more hit, please, while you go ahead and read. March 31st, the last day of Women's Month, right?
International Women's Month.
Women's Month. So Ms. Weedman is going to talk about women-led cannabis culture, but ownership still lags behind. Tell us about it,
Yes.
Ms. Weedman.
Yeah, let's get into this article from Cannabis and Tech Today. It's a valid discussion about the cannabis industry, who's shaping it versus who actually owns it. Because women are leading cannabis culture, but they're not owning in the industry at the same rate. Let's talk about the numbers. Fewer than 25% of cannabis companies are female owned. And when it comes to money, women led businesses receive less than 3% of total industry financing. So we have a huge gap between influence and ownership. And that's wild when you think about it, because women are one of the fastest growing consumer groups in cannabis, driving trends in wellness, product design, and branding. They're shaping what people buy, but not getting the same piece of the pie on the business side. And one of the biggest issues here is access to capital. Cannabis is already a tough industry to break into. High startup costs, heavy regulations, limited baking access. But for female entrepreneurs, the barrier hits even harder. Industry leaders point out that this isn't about skill or ability, it's about access to funding and opportunity. And without funding, it's hard to scale a business. And without scaling, it's hard to build long term wealth or real influence. There's a line in the article that really sums it up. Titles are progress, ownership is parity. Meaning, it's cool to see more women in leadership roles, but if they don't actually own equity in companies, the power imbalance still exists. There are women making moves as founders, executive, innovators, but they're often operating in a system that still favors established networks and traditional investment channels, and those usually lean toward being male dominated. The cannabis industry likes to position itself as progressive, but when you look at the numbers, there's still a long way to go when it comes to true equity and ownership. Because culture is one thing, but ownership, that's where the real power and money lives, and it's time for females to enter that playing field.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Women will rule the world one day. Keep on telling you all that.
Girls rule.
Boys drool
That's right.
all over themselves.
That's right. It's just that simple. It's that simple.
I especially drool. Mrs. Weedman walks past me.
Oh,
But that's
gosh.
all over myself, gentlemen.
Mm.
International news. South Africa is considering a major cannabis omnibus bill that could be presented to Parliament by mid-2027. The proposal aims to bring clarity and structure to the country's evolving cannabis laws, covering both personal use and commercial activity. Lawmakers are working to unify regulations and industry grows, signaling a long-term commitment to building a more defined legal cannabis framework. A new report highlights growing concerns about cannabis use and regulation as officials weigh public health impacts alongside shifting legal attitudes. Governments continue balancing enforcement, medical access, and evolving culture acceptance. The discussions reflect broader global trends where cannabis policies are being reevaluated in real time, with countries taking different approaches to legalization, decriminalization, and oversight in rapidly changing landscape. Cannabis possession charges in New Zealand have surged by 50% over the past 2 years, reaching an 8-year high. The increase raises concern about enforcement trends despite ongoing debates over reform. Advocates argue the spike shows the need for updated policies, while officials point to existing laws. The numbers highlight continued tensions around cannabis regulation in the country. New Zealand, my Auckland peeps out there, telling you, man, you guys all need to just, your medical program is not good enough. You need to get it on the bill, get someone to vote for it. You need to go full medical blown and then get full recreational in the next couple of years, because 50% over the past 2 years is complete garbage. So no one should be thrown in jail for weed or get ticketed or anything. So Canada's conservative leader recently said marijuana use should be a personal choice, despite previously voting against legalization. The comments came during a public discussion, reflecting evolving political attitudes towards cannabis. While legalization is already established in Canada, the statement signals how perspectives continue to shift. It also highlights ongoing debates about personal freedom and government policy in cannabis use. Oh, Canada. Canada's cannabis market is showing early growth in 2026, with sales increasing as the year begins. The uptick reflects steady demand in one of the world's most established legal markets. While challenges like pricing and competition remain, the growth signals continued stability. Canada's experience offers higher insights into how mature cannabis markets can evolve over time. In Western Australia, a lawmaker has introduced a bill to legalize personal cannabis use for adults. Yay! The proposal aims to shift policy towards a more progressive approach, allowing limited possession and cultivation. Supporters argue it would reduce criminalization, while opponents raise concerns about public health. Why? I mean, come on. It's just such a cop-out.
Mm-hmm.
No one's died
Right.
by smoking weed. The bill adds to ongoing discussions about cannabis reform across Australia. Costa Rica has made its first export of GACP-certified medical cannabis to the European Union, marking a milestone for the country's industry. The shipment highlights growing international demand for regulated medical cannabis products. Officially, to see its steps towards expanding global trade opportunities, positioning Costa Rica as an emerging player in the international cannabis market. And wouldn't it be great if we can get this federally taken care of so we can now export to, like, a state like Arizona? They have an oversupply.
Mm-hmm.
They could, if they were able to have clients overseas, forget about crossing state lines. I don't think it's fair. Okay. I think you're in your state, you're staying in your state. But to be able to go overseas,
I think that packaged goods should be able to cross state lines. You think they shouldn't?
Well,
I think that consumers should be able to cross state lines and buy wherever you want.
Yes, I 100%. Here's the reason why I say that. Unless you're like the breweries where they have 4 locations where they brew their beer at, or one central place where they brew their beer at, and then you can distribute across state. Like, say if you're already in this state, you're a multi-state operator, like multiple gummy companies or multiple, flower companies, and they're already in this state, fine. And you want to just have 2 central hubs and ship to the state and then to a distributor, and I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I just don't think you should, if you're not in this state already, because there's already too many brands in this state, or too many brands. I think the state should be on lockdown for letting new brands come in the state. I think there's just way too many brands, and then just all the local players that have been here for a long time are going to get destroyed. All the ones that started the industry here, or in the state you're in, not just Illinois. I'm just talking
about. What you're saying. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
and then it just becomes
gets so
big
fucking flooded.
Everywhere. Yeah.
It's just brutal. Now, if you're already in this state, great, and you want to have one central hub, so you don't have kitchens, or you want to have grows, that's fine. But look at it this way: California always has a surplus. They could be exporting overseas right now, and saving their industry.
Right.
So that's all. Concerns are rising in the UK over what some are calling the Wild West approach to medicinal cannabis prescriptions. Reports suggest inconsistencies in how treatments are prescribed and regulated. Critics are calling for clearer guidelines and stronger oversight to protect patients. The situation reflects ongoing challenges as countries work to balance access with safety in medical cannabis programs. That was international news, everybody. Now over to you, Mrs. Weedman, with the final article of the show.
Yep.
And we're going to be talking about what you love, weed and yoga.
Yes.
So tell us about it, Ms. Weedman.
This piece from Cannabis Now is all about mixing mindfulness with a little elevation. Yep, we're talking 420-friendly yoga. I'm really high. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. I'm like, yeah.
Jim Barry, way to go, baby.
Yeah, thanks, Jim Barry.
Way to go.
Leading the conversation is yoga instructor Jasmine Stanley, who's been very open about combining cannabis with her practice. This isn't just some trendy West Coast thing anymore. What started as a niche in places like California has spread across the country as cannabis culture becomes more accepted. But there's still a debate. Does cannabis help your practice or mess with the clarity that yoga is supposed to bring? Jasmine, she's firmly on the side of it helps. She says cannabis can actually help you release tension and connect deeper with yourself, which lines up perfectly with what yoga is supposed to do in the first place. But she also makes it clear it's not for everyone. So let's break down her do's and don'ts. First up, dosage. It matters. She recommends starting slow and being very intentional. Don't just roll up a huge joint and jump into a session, especially if that's not your normal.
And try to do a downward dog.
Yeah, right. Especially if that's not your normal tolerance. This isn't about getting blasted. It's about enhancing your experience. Next, stick with what you know. If you're used to edibles, vapes, or topicals, stay in that lane. The goal is comfort and familiarity, not experimenting mind flow and throwing off your balance. Another big one, make it personal. Jasmine emphasizes that cannabis and yoga should be individualized. There's no one size fits all method here. Your body, your tolerance, your vibe, that's what should guide your session. Now, let's get into the don'ts. Probably the biggest one, don't set unrealistic expectations. I mean, isn't that a life rule or like goal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Don't go into it thinking you're about to have this perfect hour-long, life-changing session of yoga every single time. She keeps it real. If you've got 10 minutes in the morning, that counts. That's your practice. And another underrated point, don't worry about looking perfect. This isn't Instagram yoga. This is about being comfortable in your own space, your own body, however that looks. And honestly, that might be the real message behind all of this. Cannabis and yoga, when combined intentionally, aren't about performance. They're about letting go physically, mentally, and emotionally. Namaste.
I love yoga.
Me too.
It's so nice. You're the one that got me into yoga.
Mm-hmm.
You
You
know,
never believed me
I didn't.
for so long.
I didn't.
Years
Because
and
I was
years.
a gym rat. I was a gym rat. I
I'm like,
pushed that heavy
I'm like,
weight.
you are missing
gym.
out.
And then you got me in the yoga, and I've been
And then
doing it ever
you're like,
since.
this yoga stuff is
It's
great.
amazing. Oh, man.
Like,
It's
I
not easy
know.
either. I love it.
Right.
Yeah. It does the body good.
It does.
You know, my back didn't always enjoy it, but I pushed through.
Mhm.
You know, part of the Bad Back Club, everybody. If you didn't listen to the first episode of this show and know that now, part of the Bad Back Club. So
I'm part of the bad back, neck, shoulder, knees club.
part of every part. You got every club in you.
Everything that hurts club.
Felt like you got hit with a club some days.
I feel like I've been club. Some days are better than others.
I will tell you this.
Today's a club.
Yeah, Mrs. Weedman wasn't feeling it today, and I even said, "I'm like, do you want to, go tomorrow?" You're like, push through, baby.
Push through.
Push through the
We
pain.
got a show to record.
That's it. We don't miss Tuesdays, right?
That's right.
Nope.
Unless we have to.
Yeah. So, which is still, we don't miss Tuesdays. So, Ms. Weedman,
Mr. Weedman.
that's the end of the show.
Yeah.
Got anything else to say?
Well, everybody, lots going on in the world right now. Let's be kind, make it an extra added effort to put a smile on someone's face. I don't know. Instead of building tensions, build bridges. That's all.
As John Lennon,
Peace.
as John Lennon had to say, all we are saying is give peace a chance. Everybody, we love you out there. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff, puff, and away.
Puff, puff, pass.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.